Hello again in cold Larchmont. Here we are, Eliana and I. We're having a nice bottle of wine together because it's her birthday. So we just picked something very special. It's an Hermitage from 2010 by Bernard Faurie. And we're going to talk a little bit about this. If you recall, we had this whole bit of an expose on Hermitage a couple of weeks ago on a different climat, they call the different vineyards in Hermitage on the hill. This is a mix of two, Bessards and Le Mayal, and the capsule tells it all. Faurie has different blends, and each one has different color capsule. There's white for Greffieux, there's red for Mayal, there's this golden one for Bessards Mayal. He started making a Hermitage 30, 40 years ago. I think his father planted it before him, and there was just one kind was Hermitage. This capsule started later on. The latest one I think is in 2005. So it's kind of hard to keep track, but you can find the references online to some of these things. Bernard Faurie is an interesting guy. He just retired, and he leased his land, his vines, most of them to his son-in-law, Emmanuel Darnaud. But this, he's a very traditional guy. He makes just wine, what they say in the unhurried way, really traditional Hermitage and Saint Joseph, dark, deep, sort of from the earth, very low intervention. They ferment for like sometimes up to 3 weeks, and whole cluster, very, very finely filtered, unfined. And he's the kind of guy, I think, when you discover what he makes, it's very, very hard not to really get attached to the quality of the wine. I first discovered this Saint Joseph in Lebanon, of all places, and then I started really looking in what he's been doing, and it's just been quite a discovery. Anyway, this is 2010, which to begin with was an amazing year in the Northern Rhone, and we're going to look at this together. Hasn't been open very long, it was today, but still it's very expressive. You look at the color, look at this color. I mean, it's just black, basically. Now it's not black, of course, because it's got the tint of violet and purple that goes around the rim. This is how you know it's a Syrah, but it is very, very dark.
It looks a bit like chocolate.
Chocolate, interesting, because it's got that dark core in the middle, so it looks like molten chocolate. It's 14% alcohol, but certainly enough alcohol, but it's not one of those more recent ones.
It's interesting because it's got like shades. You can see the different shades.
Yeah,
you can see the dark, then you can see the plum red, and then there's like an orange outside circle to it.
Starting to develop, yeah, with age. On the nose, it's really, when I first opened it, I got this just incredible mix of both like fat and bacon and fruit, which I know we talk about this in Syrah all the time, but they came together, which is sort of very interesting because Le Mayal is known to be more fruit forward, and Bessards is really, as we discussed last time when we drank a Bessards bottle by Delat, it's really more hardcore Syrah, earth, and savory. And so this comes across really as a true mix of both on the nose. What else do you have to say on the nose?
It reminds me of those berries that have that like intense burst of flavor at the end, or like sweetness at the end of it.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure what those are.
I feel or I guess what I was thinking is like the black currants, or that jam that we have, or the small myrtille.
Black currant.
Yeah.
Black currant, yeah. It's just really penetrating, it's rich, it's there, it's really ready, although I'm sure it can be there for another 20 years, and it's really got that beautiful blend. Let's see what we taste.
Now I'm tasting some orange almost.
Well, the orange, you're tasting the bitterness, and I think it's that pepper, the white, the fine, core, fine ground pepper that you get in a very strong sort of way in some of the northern Syrah. It's a peppercorn. It's the sweetness around it, which is kind of it's like you've had. It's like sometimes you've had chocolate with cayenne pepper or something like this. I mean, some of these combinations that really come to mind. It's really quite interesting, and it's still really that whole blending goes on your palate between the fruit, the earth, and now on top of that the pepper. So it's just quite a mix. And the chocolate comes to the mind because of what I just said, with this sort of mix of sweet and spicy.
I also felt like there was a degree of warmth to it, kind of like from the earth without being earthy. Just that type of warmth.
It is really it's sort of an enveloping warmth. This thing's gonna develop again, but it's just really incredible. I mean, I'm just I talked to Hani about it beforehand, and he said, you're gonna fall off the chair. So I'm gonna try not to because we're on video, but I can see what he means. This is really special. Bernard is retired, so anything you can find by this guy, especially on the Hermitage side of things, you should really not hesitate. This is a fancy bottle, but it's worth it. We're gonna enjoy it. Cheers.